Hey everybody, welcome back to another one of our videos. What we're going to be talking about here is we're going to talk about how to deck the base plate now that our spindle is completely trammed in. What you definitely want to do is you want to tram your spindle before moving on to this step. That ensures that your tool is going to be perfectly square to your base plate and you'll get a nice smooth cut and a good even finish. What we're going to be doing with tramming this is we're going to be using our fly cutter now that everything is perfectly trammed in. And what the fly cutter does is it has a couple advantages over using a smaller tool. The first thing is going to be able to cut a little bit faster. It's going to be able to take wider cuts, and it's going to give a much better finish, almost a mirror-like finish, when cutting this base plate. What we also recommend is having the spindle in the upper position. That way you're going to have much more rigidity compared to the lower position, and this way you'll only have to tram your head of your spindle once in the upper position. If you were to cut in the lower position, more than likely you'd have to move it up sometime in the machine's life, and then you'd have to retram all over again. So to allow us to be able to reach the base plate with our fly cutter, we have our straight shank tool extension. What this does is it just fits in a 1/2-inch collet, just like normal. And so all you'd have to do is load it up into the spindle, and then load your tool into the extension, and that'll allow you to cut in the upper position down onto the base plate and not have to retram or move the spindle afterwards. So to install it, it's pretty easy. Just like normal, we're going to be loading it into our collet here. And just tighten it down a little bit so that way it doesn't fall out. We have our 2 collet wrenches. We're going to be using our collet wrench holder to hold our wrench. That'll hold it tight so that way we have a free hand to hold our extension if we need to make sure it doesn't drop, and to be able to really crank down and get it nice and tight. Okay, that's tight. So now we're going to go ahead and put our fly cutter in, or your end mill if you're using a standard end mill. So we can't reach our holder, unfortunately, but what we can do is we can use this front surface of the carriage to rest our collet wrench up against. So I'm going to stick it on the wrench flat and just turn it until it hits that carriage here. And then I'm going to take my other wrench and tighten down like normal. Alright. There we have it, in the upper position. Alright, we've got our tool loaded in the machine and we're ready to start cutting our base plate. First thing we're going to do is we're going to move into the center of our base plate, and we're going to start off our spindle at about 2,500 RPMs. That'll make sure that we get a nice clean finish with this fly cutter. It is a little bit faster than what we normally recommend, but since we're taking such a light cut and we're going to be running nice and slow, it'll give us a really nice mirror finish if we up the RPMs a little bit. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and touch off the center, and then I'm going to go over and I'm going to zero out my Z point. And then I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and then we're going to be starting off in the back left corner. So pretty much what we're going to be doing is manually cutting on this base plate. So we're going to come down to our 0 point, we're going to drop it maybe about 3 thousandths, and then we're going to be cutting in the X direction. Once it gets to the edge of our base plate, we're going to move it in the Y direction, about half of the diameter of the tool, and we're going to come back across in the X direction. So we're just going to zigzag back and forth, making nice, smooth, even cuts until we get to the end of our base plate, and then we're going to raise our Z up out of the way. And then we'll be able to inspect our finish at the end. It will be tempting to try and check your finish as the machine is running, but please do not put your fingers in the machine while it is cutting. I know I've been tempted many times before, but just wait till the end, it'll be worth it. Another thing to mention is safety glasses are going to be required for this, just because there is going to be material flying up at you. So please make sure you wear proper protection. And the other thing you're going to want to make sure is that you have coolant running. We're not running coolant for the purpose of this video, just because we want to show how the base plate is being cut for clarity's sake. But we do recommend running coolant to get the best finish. Alright, let's move on to the cut. Alright, our base plate is cut. Our machine is back out of the way. Now we can safely come in and feel our finish. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we were shooting for. That's the reward we want for all the hard work that we're putting. You know, we get nice smooth finish. All the ridges pass the fingernail test. There's just very, very slight ones around the edges here, and that is normal. Oh yeah, that's good. Alright, so go ahead, feel free to follow these instructions to go ahead and deck your base plate. We'll see you in the next one.